Hey, welcome back everybody to the daily coding session. You know where you are in your coding journey. So if you're up to a lecture, if you're up to an assignment, just go ahead and start now. For the next 2 hours, stop entertaining yourself, stop doing something that's not related. Just open your computer and start coding. 2 hours. Again, we can control the time that we put into it. We cannot control our output, which means that yesterday we left off basically here. So we're trying to figure out how to um, have like a parent React element, and from that parent you have two children. And when one of the children runs, meaning when we submit one form, we want the second child to reload and to show us all of our posts. So let's see what that looks like. Let's cd into cx50w. I think that's where we are up to. Let's give ourselves a server, Python, manage py, run server, and let's see what we got so far here. And if we go there, we see hello world. So yesterday we managed to make most of this work. So if I hit post, you see that it doesn't do anything. But if I reload the page, we could see that new post there. So the question really becomes, and also we have this thing down here. I'm not really sure where this is coming from. Let's see. This is, yeah, some sort of div. So we have some kind of div down there. We got to get rid of. Fine, we'll do that later. The question really here becomes, how do we run? We have this React component up here, new post. It's a form. Once we submit that, how do we reload the second React component, which contains all of our posts? So I still don't know how to do that. So let's try again with the, let's try and go into the React documentation. And we want a parent, children, component. Let's see. I think this is a good example of code that is not necessarily relevant for anything. So let's try and go somewhere else. Okay. Let's go back into the bot. Give me an example of a parent with two children in React. Can I run child 2 reload child 2 when child 1, which is a form, submits? See? So here we're just asking some general questions, but the idea is that we can extrapolate from here and apply it into our code. A state in the parent component. So the parent up here would have to have some type of way of tracking the state. When the form in child 1 is submitted, you can update the state. This change in state will cause the parent component to re-render, and thus child 2 will also re-render. here's a general idea of how you can do this. Now, I would hmm, how do I do this? Okay, so let's submit some of this code and see. Let's see here. Up to here. This might be too much though. This is the issue. Yeah, it's way too much code. Now I am defining, let's see here. I do believe I am defining this yeah, I believe I'm defining the two children inside of the parent, which is not what they write here. It seems like they have this set up differently here. Um, let's see. Let's just copy paste this. Right. So that's the handle submit function, and yeah. Hmm. Now I need to call a handle update within this function to trigger a re-render of the parent component. Remember, you'll need to pass handle out as a prop to new post form from main React window. Then you can call it, let's see, let's try that again. So I think we're on the right track here. So great, you've created a handle submit function that sends a post request, fine. Now you just need to call handle update within this function to trigger a re-render of the parent component. New post form needs a prop. And so let's see. So you've created a handle submit function that sends a post request. Da da da. Okay, fine. Let's see. So you create a handle submit function that sends a post request when the form is submitted. Now we just need to call. How do I call? How to call to call handle update with the handle submit function. Pass the prop in the main React window to new post form. So that would go up here. So we have to type in prop. And so to call handle update within the handle submit function, you first need to pass the prop main React window to new post form. Handle submit. All right, so we're passing into the main React window these props as a prop from the main React window to the new post form. Or maybe it's over here, props, right? So my new post form, const handle submit. Create a form and a post feed in React. So when the form submits, the post feed reloads. Okay, let's try that. It seems to be a fairly basic thing here. Store information, the opposite. Okay. No. Let's go back one step here. So we are rendering here the main React window. Now the main React window, it's returning this. So that seems about right. And the return field with that. So let's try and ask the same question again. Let's just reload here. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes when you're debugging, you really have to step back and undo any progress you may have already. But that's part of it. Okay. Let's see here. So sure, here's a simple example of a parent component with two children. That's fine. This sample parent controller. Okay. So this seems about right. When child 1 submits, can child 2 reload? Okay, so you see here's just learning some basic things here about React. Now I think this is a very good example that we can use. So in React, child components don't directly communicate with each other. However, you can use the parent component to facilitate this communication. When child component 1 submits, it can update a state in the parent component. This state change can then be passed as a prop to child component 2, causing it to re-render. Here is a simplified example. So let's try to understand this code. So we have, first of all, the first thing that I'm seeing here is that in my code, I defined the children inside of the parent, and it doesn't seem like that is so up here. It seems like, you see, it seems like they're defining it in different places. Let me just ask a question. Do the children need to be defined inside of the parent? No, the child components do not need to be defined inside the parent component. They can be defined in separate files and then imported into the parent component file. It's actually a common practice as it promotes code reusability and separation of concerns. Each component can then be worked on independently, tested separately, and used in multiple places throughout your application. Okay, so far, I already see one major optimization that we have to do on our code before we can move forward. and that is we need to separate these functions. So right now we have them here. We have our children defined inside of this main React window. So I don't want that. I want to have it all separate. Let's see here 1 minute. So here I have a little bit of code that looks like this whole update, this whole code used to update or to manage the update. So I'm going to delete that for now. That's very similar to the code that's already here. So like const road, set reload, use state false, yeah, and then const handle reload, set reload to the opposite of whatever it is. Fine. I'm just going to delete this for now. And we see immediately here that we have this function called new post form. And I know it's taking in some props, so I'm going to take that out for now. And I'm just going to copy all of it all the way until the return value of it. And I do believe that this, what do you call this, a pink bracket is the closing bracket of this initial one. So I'm just going to copy this and delete. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that up here. And it looks like it indented properly. Let's see again. So we are indented correctly here, it looks like. Fine. So that's our new post form function, which has its own return value. Now we have the post feed, which begins with a way, we're just giving ourselves a little bit of memory here to store the JSON file. Then we ask the server for the JSON file. Afterwards, we parse through it, and then afterwards we return it as just a sequence of divs that each one of them contains the post. Fine. And we still need to do some more work here because right now we're only displaying the body, but we also want to display the date and the user, etc. So we'll do that later. But for now, again, we have this closing bracket here. I want to find the opening one, which I believe is up here, which means we are copying the correct thing here. I'm going to copy all this. This is our post feed component. And I want to go ahead and, so we have the new post form, that's its own separate component. And then I want to have below it my post feed. And I could probably put these in reverse order. It doesn't really matter what order I put them in. So now I have my post feed, set post feed, use state fine. So this all looks very good. And my main React window is still very similar to the example here, returning the two children, right? So we'll just take this code out. This has to do with the update that we're trying to implement. So let's see if this is still working well. Okay, so let's reload. And it's broken. Why is it broken? Let's try to debug. So let's go on our browser web developer tools. So our update is not defined. So let's go up and try to delete any code that has to do with updating again. Let's see. So we have our use state and our use effect. We have new post form. This looks about right. This all looks about right. And we'll get rid of this dependency. And let's reload. And so now everything looks like it's working okay. Now I do have like a third div here, which I'm just gonna get rid of for now. I'm actually gonna get rid of these two here because all I'm divving in my original HTML is just that main React window, and then I'm taking over with JavaScript from there. So let's reload again. And everything seems to be working exactly how we want it to. Everything working. So we still need to implement how to reload this, but if we reload manually the page, we see that everything is being submitted and received from the server. Okay. So now time to implement. So basically we have, how do you say, we have applied the recommendations more or less exactly how it's given to us here. So we have the parent component, which comes out to be this post feed, and the children, or sorry, the parent component comes out to be this down here, the main React window. All we are returning here is just the two children inside of a div. And just for the sake of that thing that belongs there. See, still working fine. So you see, this is a weird thing about JavaScript. Whether there's a semicolon there or not, we were getting the correct output. So it didn't really matter whether we had that in there or not, but there are many other times that I've seen that if you don't have the semicolon, it doesn't work. So I don't really know when you need the semicolon, when you don't need it. It just seems to be at random to me. But I'm sure it's part of why JavaScript is such a compatible with a lot of different devices and a lot of different frameworks, just because it's a very flexible language. Okay, so let's continue up here. Let's see. So that's our return for the main React. So this is correct. Now, in this example, we have all that fine. So now how do we do it so that when child1, so when our new post form submits, the post feed reloads. So in React, child components don't directly communicate with each other. So these two don't communicate with each other. However, you can use the parent component to facilitate this communication. When child component 1 submits, it can update a state in the parent component. This state change can then be passed as a prop to child component 2, causing it to re-render. Here's a simplified example, and I really do like simplified examples. So in this example, and this is like a very simple way because we are not even passing anything. I mean, we're not adding, I don't think we have to add any other code inside of our components. The reload is just going to be handled directly with React. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. Or you know what, for the sake of muscle memory. So const reload set reload equals use state of false. Yeah. And I don't need to write React because I've already imported that up here. Use state. And const of handle reload equals that handle reload. It's the function that we're going to make in here now. Okay. And so over here, he wants us to just write in set reload. We want to run this function here and just whatever the use state here, we want the opposite. So we'll write the opposite of whatever the value of reload was. I think that's correct. And we need to have also set reload. Yeah, that seems about right. And then now we're going to pass that into our component. So a new post form, we want to say so I'm not sure that we want to do on reload. So is this triggering on submit? The line of code you've shown is passing a function handle reload as a prop to child component 1. So this is passing got it. So this is passing the variable, and the idea is that whenever this variable changes, we are going to trigger the child component 2, and I believe that's what a dependency is on here. So that's what would go in here. So here we would whatever we're passing out from here, we would put over here. So I do believe it's going to be props.reload, props, and then over here, props.reload. And down here, it's going to be reload equals, we're just going to plug in the other reload. So this one, and this one would be on reload equals handle reload. So we're passing a function, which means that inside of our new post form, we also need to pass it, new post form props. And over here, after we receive the data, I'm just going to run that function. So that would be props dot on reload. So I will run that function. Yeah, I'm going to run that function like after I receive the data here. Once I run the function, the value of the value of this variable reload will be updated, and because I'm passing it onto my post feed, so my post feed has this props of reload, and this bracket here allows me to detect a change in that variable. So when that variable changes, this whole use effect, this hook will run. This should be correct. Let's try it again. Is it reloading? You see that? It works like magic. So now we have implemented. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but the way I figure this out is just by asking very basic questions about React principles to the AI. Now, this is probably something I could have done with maybe 3 hours of reading through React documentation, but here I managed just to basically ask my own tutor to just give me a watered down explanation, simple explanation of what is a parent component, how are the children related to that, what functionality can I add in between all those 3 components, and that's how I got to here. However, the thing here in the brackets, the dependencies, I remember that from our previous coding session. And I wouldn't know this if it not were for that. And also something to keep in mind is that these are like features of React. It's a React functionality that they give you. So that's what those brackets are. It's not something that I made up, or it's not something that I coded into it. No, it's something that's already coded by React to be able to do that. They already know that people are going to want to pass variables between components, and that people are going to want to run things whenever those variables change. And that's interesting because this is not the only example I could think of for such a behavior. You could even have components like a shopping cart, and then when the variable changes, for example, when someone adds an item to the shopping cart, so now the variable is changing. I don't know, perhaps they get a notification or something pops on the screen or something changes. Okay, so that's that. Let's see again. I really want to see this again because it's working. It is working so nicely. And I noticed that today, I believe is the 9th day of our coding journey here, of the 2 hours a day of the live stream. So that means that we have 18 hours. This is 18 hours later into the homework. So 18 hours of code later. Okay. And you see it working very nicely. I'm going to submit what more, and I'm going to post it. And notice at the top here of my browser, like nothing is loading. This is all just within the div. The benefit of that is if I had a bunch of pictures, if I had a bunch of stuff on this web page, I wouldn't have to reload that. That would save on server costs. Fine. let's go back to our specification. Okay. Okay. And over here, so new posts. Users who are signed in should be able to, we already completed this, all posting. I should be able to see, yeah, so they can see all posts from all users with the most recent posts, etc. Each post should include the username of the poster, the post content itself, the date and time at which the post was made, and the number of likes the post has. Okay, so now we're getting to a part where it's a little bit of rough waters again. So let's go back into our GitHub. And let's go into our project. So here's how I'm keeping track of all my all the features that we need to implement. This is what we are working on at the moment. And so each post should include the username of the poster, the post content itself, the date and time at which the post was made, the number of likes the post has, etc. So if you look at the picture up here, it has to look like this, right? And ours doesn't look like that at the moment. So we have to implement that. How do we do that? Now, the first thing I could think of is that each one of these is a div. So the first thing I want to do is I want to format it. I want it to have like a nice, what do you call it? A nice border, and like each post should have like its own little card. So that's what we're going to do first. Let's go down here and in our return over here. So we have this returns of our post feed function or element. So it's returning us this post feed.map, which is like a more advanced way of running a for loop for the duration of all the items in the array of posts. So for each element in that array, we're gonna spit out its own div. Fine. So we have post field.body. However, I want to have the user as well. So let's go ahead and now I can think of an optimization perhaps already that we might have to do on the server side, which is all post here is returning I do believe we're not returning any user information at the moment. Let's take a look. So that's something that we need to implement. So if we go in here, all posts, you see we only have body and date. We don't actually have any user information. So how about we try putting that in first? So the simplest way to do it is just to add another field here. And let's take a look at our models again. So we have owner. So that would be owner. I do need to say that this owner here is only going to return to us a foreign key. So it's only going to return to us the ID of the user. It's not going to give us the username. So I'm trying to remember from another thing that I built. So perhaps there's a way to extract the username without having to make a call. Because right now, the logical way would be to make a call for to make a database query for our user objects, and then to find the user that has the ID of whatever the ID is for that post, of the owner ID. That's like one way, and I do believe that is like the expensive way of doing it. Like that definitely requires a lot of processing on the back end. So let's see if there's a way that we can just get the user name without having to query the user database. I think there might be a way to do that. So let's try that. Let's just to confirm, let me just put in here owner. So you can see what I'm talking about, owner. And that updated. So let's reload this. Right? Yeah, so you see the owner, it's just a number here. So it's not giving us too much information. Now I could write here owner.username, but this might crash. I guess we'll see. Yeah, so the owner.username is not really giving us anything. Let me try again. No, it's not giving anything. Let me try owner.name. Now, this is where I might need to look up the documentation for abstract user, because again, we said that we are just copying. Our user really is just an abstract user, but I don't know what fields are included there because I can't see them. I see we're importing them from this file here, which I have no idea where that even is. Django contrib.auth.models. I have no idea where that is. I'm just gonna perhaps search for that. Yeah. Let's just make a query here. Abstract user Django. Django. Let's just try here django.contrib.auth, and it's a model. So class models user. So it is username. It is username. So owner.username. Now I know that I'm missing a step here. See, we don't have a username field here. If we just leave it as owner, it will just give us a number. So my question here would be, and so my owner, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if this is like legal code. So my owner is already giving me an invalid syntax. Let me see if I can do user. Can I do a query to the, like, I need to basically write in here user dot objects. So I'm kind of digressing from what I said before. We might have to, probably will have to query the user database, but we don't want to get all the users. Like if you had 1 million users and you're only looking for one, that's a lot of computing power wasted. But we definitely just want to query something similar to what I'm writing here. So it would be user objects.get, if because we only have one, where the primary key is equal to owner. That's sort of what we're looking for. I'm just going to ask the bot here, what is wrong with this code, and hopefully point me in the right direction. Just reload here. What is wrong with this code? You might want to consider creating a custom method in your post model. So now we're talking over here. You might want to consider creating a custom method in your post model that returns the desired owner information and then include the method's name in the field arguments. Alternatively, how do I do that? Let's see. Okay. Oh man, I'm not trying to implement no code. Also, I'm not sure. I have a problem with so here's just a general problem that I personally have with editing models in Django. So we've already migrated these models into our SQL database, and if we start changing the properties of these fields, it's going to start throwing a bunch of errors, which how the way I've solved them in the past has been with just deleting the database altogether and starting from scratch. So I don't want to get to that point again. I would rather figure out a different way to just go ahead and figure out what the owner is here. I don't want to do it in the models.py. I'd rather implement it in the view. Now this is my fault. Like I really don't want to mess with the models right now. Um, so we would have to open up, yeah, so we would have to open up this here. Let's see. I just know that if I start messing with this here, if I go in here and I start typing in a new query to go into the user and whatnot, it's really gonna mess it up. The foreign key user. Okay. Show me an example. I see you're trying to serialize the post objects into JSON. However, the way you're trying to get owner for each post is incorrect. Instead of trying to execute a query inside of the fields list, you should get the owner's information separately. Okay, loop over all the posts in query set, and for each post, create a dictionary with the fields you want. For the owner, yeah, I know how to do that. And append each dictionary to a list. Now, this should be fairly basic Python for me and for those of you that are that have completed at least the first Python course. This fairly basic Python. So let's go ahead and try that. So basically, the first thing is we have all of our serial posts. Yeah, so I would say right here. So here, after we sort all the posts by date, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna create I'm just gonna call this. Let's see. Um, let me see. Right. So all of our posts basically returns to us a dictionary or an array, which um, in Python it's called um, a list. Right. This is so. Let's give ourselves a new list here. Right. Instead of trying to execute a query inside the fields list, you should get the owner's information. Right. Um, so first we have to create the list. So let's just call this response. And data response is equal to, and we're going to set that to an empty list. And what we want to do now is just for post in all posts. I like this. I haven't actually written this in a while. This type of basic Python. For post in all posts. So what are we getting here? We're getting the object for each object inside of our all posts list. We want to create a new dictionary. Each dictionary is going to have these properties. Body equals body is equal to post dot body date is equal to post dot date, and owner, here's the new code, owner is equal to, and we're going to go into the user dot objects dot get method, and we want that where the pk is equal to post dot owner. I believe that's correct. And we want to save this inside of this sort of variable. So just call this normalized post. And then we want data response dot append, I believe is the correct method here. Normalized post. Yeah, I believe this is correct code. I mean, it's not throwing any errors right now. So yeah, so what we're doing here basically just to take all of our the return from running our database query, and now we want to like dissect every single object and reformat it. So that's what this loop is doing for post, and you can name this here whatever you want: post, brackets, bunnies, oranges, whatever you want. But for the post in all the posts, we want to create this new normalized post, this new normalized object. And so it'll have these fields: body, date, owner, post body, post date, user objects.get, pk equals post owner. And so here we're getting the user object, correct? But that user object, we want the username from that user. So I'm going to try and username. I'm going to try to do it like that. I believe that it looks like a mouthful, but I think that it could be, let's see. Yeah, let's just separate it. So let's type in username is equal to, and then just offset this to over there. Just so we're getting the actual user or post owner. So we're actually getting the actual user object for that post owner, and that's what we're going to pass to here, post owner. And so right now we're passing the whole object. We don't want the whole object. All we want is the username. Okay, and that becomes this new object called normalized post. And we're just going to append that into our normalized post. Let's see if this code is correct. And then we need to convert the list to JSON. Which it could mean that we don't need this anymore. Because basically we manually did this serialization. So this serialized thing here, I don't know exactly what's behind the hood, but I do believe that what we just wrote here more or less takes care of that. Like it accomplishes the same thing. We're basically manually serializing all of our posts, and it's still sitting inside of a list. So we do want to turn that into JSON. So we want to keep this return JSON response. That should be okay. But instead of JSON loads here, we just want to use JSON dumps. And instead of serial post, we want to use normalized. Sorry, we want to use data response here. Yeah, and I think this should work. Let's see. What are we getting from the server? We're getting an error. Look at that. Field ID expected a number, but got user test 1. So what does that mean? Where is this coming from? Line 22. So here we have a problem, right? We're getting so it could be that we don't have to run this. It could be, but this doesn't make any sense. How could it be? It's very clearly telling us that this post, that owner is returning to us a username. How could it be? I had no idea. So it could be that inside of this owner we already have the user object. Is that what it is? How could it be? Let me see here. Um, um, let's get rid of this thing here. Take a look again. Let's see. And so it's not going to be JSON dumps. It's going to be something else here. JSON loads. Loads. Okay. Oh, this is crazy. Let me just ask the bot for a minute. data response. Let's try this again. So JSON response doesn't need this argument here. Fine. Let's try that. We're still getting some weird error here. Because the field ID expected a number, we got a user. Which now this is weird because before it was giving us the ID. That's what I thought this whole time was going to give us, is the ID of this owner here. So let's go back and try to understand. I'm not really sure what to do. So this code that we wrote right now should be the exact same thing, more or less, than what we had before. But before it wasn't working. It was just returning to us a number. The question is, why does it work now and not before? So let's keep going. I think we're almost there. Yeah, let me see here. So if we try again, actually, yeah, let's try this. And you see that the owner that returns here is just the number. That's just weird. So I have no idea why that is, but I'm just going to leave it how I wrote it, because it's working. And so you see now, if we reload, it's giving us the actual username. So that's what we wanted. I don't know why, but that's what's happening. I really don't know why this is. Um, um, so okay, I understand now why. Because here it says post owner dot username. Let me just see one more thing if I can do that. So it would be dot username. Let me see if that's even possible to do it how we had before. So I think what's happening is that when you create a new post, an actual user object is being stored inside of this owner field here. That's what's going on. It's not just the primary key. The full object is in there. Looks like. Let's see. So it would be owner dot username. Let's see. So no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So basically, you have to do it manually if you want to get into the field of the actual. I guess you could always write in here owner username would be like owner dot owner dot. I guess you could write a method here. Yeah, fine. I'm just gonna do what I had before. So we're just manually serializing it, which, you know, in the end of the day, it could be good because here we can really take control of our fields and manipulate them as we want. But the idea was that we have this post owner, post.owner.username. username. And that's the final, I think. You see, so now we have actual usernames. But the only reason we can get at this is because there must be an object inside of this post.owner. Inside here, this has to be an object. Otherwise, we'd have to query the database again. Okay, so that's that. So let me see. I think we have plenty. Now, there's a little optimization that I want to do. I don't know that this is a great way to format this date. I want to just have it so it's like a regular date. Like let's say it says May 28th, 2024 at 10, let's say 10:00, and that's it. I don't want it to have all this other information. So how do I format that correctly? So obviously we can do that in here. How can I format this to more user readable? Let's see, in Python, you can use the datetime module to parse and format datetime strings. Here's the general idea. Use datetime.datetime from myself format to convert it to a datetime object. Use str on the datetime to format it to your liking. For example, yeah, this is more or less what we wanted to do. You can use that. Okay, so let's see. I think we already have a datetime up here. If not, it's something that comes in with a Django. How to import date time into. Now, something to keep in mind, which we haven't seen in the course yet, but all these things that we import them, when we want to deploy that onto the server, we have to make sure that we import those things as well, especially if we're like containerizing our application. We want to make sure that all dependencies are in there as well. Okay, so let's try that. Just import datetime. I'll go here, import datetime. Okay, and we'll go down a little bit. And I guess we can just save that all that inside of this date here. So let me just go ahead and type this in. Let's see. So I'm just gonna run all that in here. So then that should return whatever it is I'm looking for. Dot. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, too many methods in one object. Maybe it's a case of that. So let's try the go back a little bit. So would it be post.date and then let's try that again. I think we need to pass this somewhere else. Let's go back. So our post, so we want to format that. So formatted date equals post.date, and in here we want to run all of this. And then formatted date is equal to formatted date dot, hope I'm getting this right, dot that. Let's see. Maybe we'll pass it as an F string. We're getting an error in line 23. So this should be post date. It should be also an F string. Let's try that. I don't think anything changed here, which means that this F doesn't go there. Okay. No, it's not working at all. So let me try again. It's not working. Got you. Okay. Formatted date has to go down here. That was my mistake. Let's reload. And it's working now. As you can see, we have the body of the post. We've got our date and we've got the user that wrote it. And let me see the spec again. I believe that's all we need. Yes, okay. Now we still got to implement this whole like, let's see, this whole like, what do you call this? Like a button and my comment also, which I'm assuming that once you click on here, it'll reveal a form. So those are things that we still need to implement. And I'm already thinking that we're definitely going to use hooks for that, and we're going to have to pass. We're going to have to use a similar methodology, like with the parent and the children, and passing over the function and passing over the variable, etc. We're going to have to use hooks and states for that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and try this. And again, this edit here as well. I'm sure that if you push on that, it'll reveal some type of form, and that form will be pre-filled with, let's see, that form will be pre-filled with that one post. Fine. Okay. Let's see how we're looking so far. So let's go back. Well, what's broken now? Let's see. Okay, so something is up here. Let me see again. What are we returning here? It could be that we need to modify some of our code in the front end as well. Post.fields. Yeah, so I think we need to take this fields out of here. Let's see. So now it's working. Okay, yeah, so basically we changed the structure of our JSON response. So our front end was not able to see it properly, but now it should be okay. And is everything still working? We good still. Okay. Okay, so we do have other fields now that we want to display. So the first one, I believe, is going to be, I'm just wondering if it's a div and then each div has like an h1 and h2. Yeah, I guess we could do it like that. So let's do, this will be like the h1, or let's just call it h3, right? Let's see. So this is our return here. Perfect. So we have a post.body, and that could stay in a div. And over here we can do another div. Okay. Now I don't want to call this a div. I want this to be an h3. H3. And we want to plug in here post dot owner. And then right below all of this, we'll make another div. And this will be post dot date. And we need curly braces there. And that should be good to go. Let's see. Okay, so it seems to be throwing off an error that has to do more with like the functionality and the syntax of React. So it's saying that adjacent JSX elements, so adjacent elements, they need to be wrapped in an enclosing tag. Which I thought is what we did. Yeah, so our mistake is that we put the h3 in the wrong place. Meaning the first thing has to be a div. Let's try again. So this will be like a P. Okay, and then this will be my H3. And this will be post.owner. We got the post body, and below that, this gotta be a better way of doing this though. Below that, we're going to put our post.date. Let's see. And we see here that this is all working now. Now I don't see the date, so give me a minute, bear with me. Post.date, we'll do it again, reload this. Okay, and so it's all working now very nicely. Now I want to have a separate card for each thing. So I'm just going to name this post card. And I do believe that if you're returning from inside of React, which we are here, I think we have to how to add an ID to a div which comes from a turn in React. So I think it was just and a class. So I'm just gonna write in a regular ID there. Right, it's the class that's different. You have to write class name and not class, okay? As you would in regular HTML. So this div will just have the ID of funny postcard, okay? And I guess it's time to go back into our dreaded CSS file, which is right here, styles. And so if we give ourselves a post card, and we have to edit a little bit, instead of being an underscore, it has to be a dash. Okay. Let's just copy these values for now and see that it's not doing anything, but I think it's because the browser needs to be reset. Again, browsers don't expect CSS to change. So sometimes you have to clear all your history and then go back in. We're gonna log in. Wait, test one. Test one, okay. And we see that all this is working very nicely. Okay. Now what I see here is that we are actually returning one big old div with all these other elements inside, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted each one of these to be in a separate div. So let's try that. Now, where's that even coming from? So that means that this big div here, I chose the wrong one. That's what it means. It means that I have to put it over here instead of over there. Okay, let's try again. And we see that this is working nicely now. I still have to debug why is it that my form looks like that. It could be because I changed something on it. But we see here that we're getting very close to where we want to be. And let's go back to the spec. Okay. So we are fairly close to that, more or less. Doesn't look exactly the same, but it's definitely getting there. And we could probably use Bootstrap to what do you say? We could use Bootstrap to format this a little bit better. So let's try that. Bootstrap. Let's read the docs and layout, content, forms, components. Let's try card. That's a basic card. Or posts. Is there such thing as posts here? Helpers. I thought it was a card, but I guess it's not. Or we could do something like this, maybe, where class name is equal to card. Let's see, where class name is equal to card. Let's see if it works. You see, it does kind of work. It really does. And if we wanted to add a little bit more margin and padding, I think we could just do that. Let's see. Yeah. And we also have card header, which is this over here, like my my username. Yeah, so this will be a class name is equal to card header. Let's see. Okay. And my card body. Over here, I need another div to wrap around all of this. Yeah, and so this will be a class name is equal to card body. Okay. Now I'm gonna stop messing with my own stuff here. Let's see. Okay. And where are we here? The card title will be that. And we want our post date to have some type of class name is equal to card text. I think that's it. Let's see. And so it has, I guess, that how do you say it? I think it has this type of structure, but we're still getting. I mean, it's not so nice. I feel like. Margin. and padding. Let's see. Let's just add a P2 in here instead of my card. So P2, M2. Let's just try that. And so we see that's what we can see here. I actually want to add an M of, let's see, 5. Yeah, so it's working nicely, I would say. I still have a problem with this all posts at the top, so maybe we should attack that next. So our return for the form is this over here. That's what it is. So it's form group. Class name, let's see. Does it do anything? No, it doesn't. So usually in React, you don't type in class, you type in class name. So the return here is all of this. So what is this form group here? M5P2. Let's try that. So now it's working better. And heck, we could even do it very similar to what we have here already. So we said that we used just card, just like that. And this is reactive, obviously. Or sorry, responsive. Yeah. M4 even. M4. Very nice. And we have our card header, or header, which would be this new post here. So we just type in class name equals card header. Refresh, and it's looking great. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. And one optimization that I could do right off the bat is I actually want the post to be like the focus here, and the username could be at the bottom. So let's do that. So we have our post feed.map. Yeah, so our card header, it's not going to be the post owner. It's going to be the post.body. And then down here will be the owner. Let's try again. Yeah, this looks much better. And instead of just having this random thing here, let's just type in, created by, and then do that. Let's see. Okay. Or posted by. Very nice. And then for the date, we just run in created on, created, just type on, posted by. Very nice. So now another optimization that we could do is just to have this on the same line there. So maybe that's the thing to do. Posted by this owner on, and then just type in our post.date and get rid of the next paragraph. just like that. Okay, so we are good to go here. I mean, this is all working very nicely. And okay, so let's take a look again. We're still missing though the ability to edit, like, and comment. So let's try that. Now, one second, I wonder if I find something here. Okay, so we said that, first of all, we said that we created um, this post-like model or table where what we do here is just to link a user with a post, meaning a user could be any user with any post. And so whenever if we have a button here that says like, which, you know what, let's just go ahead and implement that first. So let's try that first. Let's go ahead and implement the like button. I'm just gonna make a new div. And I'm just gonna call it like. And let's go to emoji. Let's just find some emoji library here and just copy this. Yeah, I'm gonna copy that and put it in there. Apparently not even. So yeah, just that. Now I'm gonna manually plug in here 0. But this 0 is actually something we're going to have to eventually return from our view. So it will have to be part of this here. But for now, I'm just hard coding in there 0 for everything. So, and then why not? Let's just hard code in there as well. A comment button. Let's see. So none of this works at the moment. We need to implement that later. Also, we might need to edit, add some type of edit button here, but we need to track away. We don't just show edit button here for everything and everyone. It's only if the post owner equals the current user. So if I was the user that created the post, I will see the edit button, otherwise I won't. So that's something more for the future that I need to code in. But for now, maybe I'm just going to hard code it in here as well. So we have our post body here, which is, yeah, just going to type in here a div, okay, and just type in edit. Actually, this will just be a p, okay. And I'm noticing that it's like outside of my card header, so it should be below. It should be somewhere else. So I'm gonna put it, take this out. Let's say my post body is good, and then I want to do the card body posted by on da 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 on date, and then yeah, in between the like and whatnot. So here we're gonna write edit. And href is equal to, we're just going to leave it like that for now. Something is not loading here. Let me see. I might have a problem with the syntax here, so let me try this CS50 dot, wait, let's just go from here. Yeah, CS50 AI. Okay. Okay, so so as you can see, just clicking on the edit, it doesn't really do anything. I think I should take this out though. Yeah. No. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. It's just currently just reloading the page because I'm setting it here just to the /. So it's not doing anything. Our likes is also not doing anything, and our comment also doesn't do much. So we're gonna have to implement that later on. But all the other features are working quite nicely. Okay. Okay, so I think probably the next step that we want to get ourselves into here is implementing this whole feature to be able to like the posts. Now this full heart here, like the filled in, it will be right now. I made it so that I'm mocking it as if just made a little mock version here, as if it has one like, meaning I liked all of these and I'm the only user in the system, so the heart is full. But if it was 0, it should be an empty heart. Fine. And then my comment not working, other stuff. Fine. So what I want to do next is implement my likes. Now we did make a model for that where I could link a user to a post. And and keep track of the likes in that way. Now, I want to just take a look at this video here from, sorry, the video is from Sam Meach Ward. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So let's take a look. Let's see that we have the audio on here. Okay.
Counting rows in a relational database is slow, and in the early days of Instagram, this would cause the app to become completely unused. Counting rows in a relational
Here it is.
Counting rows in a relational database is slow, and in the early days of Instagram, this would cause the app to become completely unusable anytime Justin Bieber would upload a new photo. Imagine this is Instagram's database where you have a post table, and every single time someone likes a post, it's a new row in the likes table. So every single time you...
So far, this is what we are implementing. This is the way I was thinking to do it.
Select a post, you have to run a count function to check how many likes are associated with that post. And apparently he had so many likes that they couldn't even fit them in a cache. A single celebrity's count could destroy the entire infrastructure. So to solve a problem like this, you have to denormalize this database and add a total likes column to the post table. Every single time someone likes or unlikes a post, you just update this counter. So you do a little bit of extra processing when someone likes a post, but this makes reading a post much more efficient.
So, okay. What does it mean for us? Basically, it means that perhaps this is not the best way of keeping track of this. I mean, I'm not expecting 1 million users here to this app, but you never know, right? But the idea here is that perhaps we should have another field here called post likes, and that'll be a count. It'll start with 0, or the default will be 0, and every time somebody likes the post, we'll just update that count. Now, what that doesn't help us with is keeping track if a user has liked the post or not. So perhaps instead of using a post like model, what we can do here is just to add liked posts equals models dot I think it's a many-to-many relationship. Let's see. So model dot many-to-many. Let me see. Or maybe it's a one-to-many. Okay. Let's try one to many versus many to many versus many to one. in Django. Okay, so here's giving us a bit of a detailed explanation. Right, and especially in Django, which makes complicated database design a piece of cake, I think it's very important to understand how they work on the SQL level to better understand anything you're doing. I think an example is the best way to understand this. First thing you should understand is that each SQL table has one field, which is usually automatically incremented, which is called a primary key. That makes sense. This field is a column with a unique value for each row. Say in Django, you create a model representing an author, which has 3 fields, first name, last name, and an optional field containing email. Django will also automatically add the primary key. Yeah, I understood that part. And so whenever you add a new user, it'll give you a new primary key, and that's okay. Now we're adding a new book. You see what I did here? At the field for author, I gave the book the value of 1, correct? And that's a foreign key, which it represents a many-to-one relationship. Okay. Now let's say that we want to add another book by Stephen King. Fine. So again, our book, so this is equivalent to our post model, and then we have our user model. Okay. Um, right. So we have this a model, right? So we have our book is similar to our or the book table that they're using here is similar to our post model. So let's see what I did there. So what we're trying to make is basically inside of our user model here, we want to make sure, we want to do something here that we can add posts to it. Now we might be running into an issue here because we would have to declare the post above the user. But if we do that, we won't be able to reference the user down here. And so therefore, the only real practical solution that I see at the moment, and we'll see in the future if this becomes an issue, is to create a separate post-like model. And if every time somebody likes a post, it'll create an object here in this table that links a user to a post. The user doing the liking and the post that was liked. I think that's the most logical way of going about this. And so in order to like a post, I do believe that we need a new route. And basically this would become, this like button here will become a post request to the server to say, hey, create a new model, etc. So let's go and just for now, yeah, let's just go for now and exempt ourselves from authentication and create a new view here. So we have the CSRF exempt, and we want to define our post, our like post. And you know what? I'm going to name the route the same thing. One second. I made a mistake here. And so here we want to request, and we'll pass for now. And I want to go into my URLs and create a new path. The name of the path is like post. I think that's what we named it. Yeah. And we want to import into that path the views.like post name is equal to, this is so we could reference it later, like post. Let's take a look. So path, it's throwing a ton of errors here, but no, we're good now. It's not throwing errors anymore. So our path will be like post. It'll import the view called like post, and the name of this whole setup is called like post. I think we're okay there. Get out of there for now. So now we have to work here. So our idea here is that, again, this is one of those views that the request has to be a post request. There's no way, and let me say that again. So because it has to be a post request, we have to filter out any other type of requests. So the first thing that we need to do here is if request.method equals post, well, we're gonna pass for now. We're gonna define that later. But if the request.method is equal to post, then we're going to run our script or our code to create a new post-like model and to basically like the post, right? And if it's not, and in Python, we can totally write in here else and then write our code here. Or we could just totally omit the else and just go ahead and write. So we can already here return. We can only return. And so this return statement here will only happen if this conditional is not met. And what are we returning here? We're going to return an HTTP response redirect, HTTP response redirect, and we're going to reverse what the address or the domain is for the index view or the index path. And so this is the reason why we are using a name over here. So we can refer to one of these paths by name and not by address. So this is like the address. This actually becomes / whatever. So if we were to literally copy this here and paste it as / that, I mean, it returns whatever our view is returning. But this is how we refer to a path by address, and we can also refer to it by name and tell Django, hey, here's the name of my path. I do not know the address. Figure out the address for me. And that's what this reverse method is. It just reverse engineers, so to speak, what the address for this index URL should be, and then we are returning that as a response. So we're just redirecting the user there. Now, if our request is post, and it's the correct type of post, we need to do a couple of things here. So the first one is, now I'm just going to write it over this path, so I'm not getting any errors. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to validate the data, and we need to make sure. Um, okay, we'll validate the data, and then we're going to extract. And what are we extracting? We need to extract two things here. We need a user and we need a post. So extract a user, and this will be like the active user. I think this will always be the active user. So we can rename this to request dot user, and we want to let's just, when we submit here, we'll submit some type of JSON probably. So it'll just be we'll just name that field. We haven't made it yet, but we'll name it liked post, extract and like post. Then after we have that, we're going to want to create a new post like. So over here, I can already start writing this. Or you know what? Create a post like object, save the post like object, and most likely we need to reload the post in the front end. We're gonna have to probably do that with React. We're probably going to have to add a couple of fields here to our JSON return. Potentially, we need to add a field here called likes, right? And for now, it's just one, but that's more or less what we need to do. And so I think that with that, we have reached, let's see here, I think we're towards the end of our 2 hours per day coding session for today. Let me see here. Yes, we are. And so let me see here. I just want to, let's see. There we are. And so before we end the live stream, I just want to go over a couple of comments here that I received recently, or actually not recently, during the live stream now, during the live stream itself. Code 69 writes, love this amazing series. Man, this combo of Django and React is crazy. I think it's crazy. I think I'm very happy that I'm learning it and that found a very good course to learn from. It's an interesting combo. It's not something that I haven't really seen many pro coders reference the fact that they work with React in the back end and or sorry, React in the front end and Django in the back end. I have seen a lot of people working with definitely Node.js in the back end instead of Django. But I really don't know too much about deploying applications to the web. This is something that we still have to learn in the course. But I do understand that Django is more of a monolithic framework. Um, whatever that means. It probably means a little bit less flexibility in deploying it in the back end, a little bit more like a bigger package size to run it. I'm not really sure, or like the scalability might be a little bit harder because it's like one computer basically instead of many. Whatever the case may be, I do already think there are some benefits using Django. The main is that you could code in Python, which is my favorite language by far. And Django has a ton of libraries that you can use specifically for AI and data science and data analysis. So if I do believe that it would make it a little bit easier, like if we wanted to run some AI scripts, if we wanted to sort, let's say that we have a way of tracking like how long a user spends on reading each post, then we could write an AI script to kind of optimize which posts are shown to who. I guess similar to most social media probably do something like this. I feel like that would be, um, I don't know, I think that would be easier doing that on Python. Not that you cannot do it in JS, but I think Python is a better language for or has been marketed as a superior language when it comes to AI models and data science. Okay, now here another comment and last one for today. I see here that Random Entertainment, he asked one question. He's saying he's going to finish high school in a few days, and I want to get a computer science. Like he wants to go to college for computer science. Do I have any suggestions on what things he should know before getting into computer science? Number one, look, the application process to go into college into computer science is probably going to be the same across universities. You need to have good grades. You have to have good SAT scores, etc. Like if you manage to get into computer science, great. That's great on you. Now, is computer science um, the question really becomes is computer science the correct career path for you? That you have to decide on your own. Obviously, the main thing that dictates that is if you like it. Like if you don't like computer science, sorry, go find a different career. But I think that if you were to take as a first step, let's say that now is the summer is here. Let's say that you've already applied to college for the next semester and you are going to go to college, I don't know, in September, August, whatever it is. That means you have a few months where you can take a couple of computer science courses online and really get into it and see if this is something that you really like, if there's something that is for you. If it's for you, great, you're already in the computer science program at university. If it's not for you, then on day one when you go to university, you have to plan with your academic advisor what your next steps should be, which career you should go into. But that way you don't have to waste time and money in a semester in college just to find out that you don't like computer science, when you can do this testing and you could do this tryout on your own online. Take a look at the video that I have with the Harvard roadmap. Just if you can pass, let's say, the first two courses over the summer and you enjoy yourself doing those things, I think that you would be a great candidate for a computer science degree. So that's it for this live stream. Thank you for joining, and I will see you guys in the next coding session. And remember, 2 hours a day, every day, adds up to a very long time and a lot of progress in your professional and career goals.